All right, cool. So we have started. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this interview. I have very blessed to have a very special guest with me right now. You may have seen her on NXT television. May have seen her on Santino's Bros. You may have seen her on Powerbomb TV, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. You have seen her everywhere in the wrestling scene. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Kat Marino, Kathy Campanelli, aka Alyssa Marino. How are you?
Hello. It is great to see you. How are you doing?
You know what is going well, especially during this quarantine, enjoying some cereal honor honor to your Let's Get Cereal.
Absolutely. Let's get cereal, my friend.
Of course. So I wanted to start off with, speaking about cereal, I did want to start off with just that. Like, what was the inspiration towards Let's Get Cereal and the process behind that?
So it was really funny. What ended up happening was, I think it was maybe early on, like maybe in a year or so into starting to be more active on social media, I randomly posted a picture of like, oh, I'm having a bowl of cereal today. And it was like everything erupted. And it was like, oh, that's it. And all of a sudden everyone was either like telling me about their favorite cereal. And it was like, whoa, okay, that was one bowl of cereal. Like, I love cereal. What happens if I just eat more of it and share that I'm eating more of it? And honestly, the more consistent I stayed with it, it turned into like a weekly process where I was doing things like rating cereals, like, hey, and all of it was, social media. I would say, hey, give me a cereal and I'll rate it, with my expert cereal rating. Because I studied at Cereal University and yeah, so basically it just became a way of kind of engaging with an audience, and it went wild for me. And it was really fun. And I was realizing this is something I'm enjoying doing. So how do I keep going? How do I take it further? Then it turned into a weekly show where I was just doing cereal reviews. And then I was, at the time going to wrestling shows every weekend and seeing wrestlers from all over the place, especially in SoCal. And these were like my pals, my buds. And it got to the point where people were like, why don't you eat cereal with people? Like, why don't you have interviews with wrestlers while you eat cereal? I'm like, oh, yeah. So then I think some of the first couple ones I did was like Brian Cage after bar wrestling, and then Jake Atlas and Heather Monroe before bar wrestling. So it was just a way that we could all kind of interact and make it something fun for people to watch. So it just kind of went from there. And now it's back.
No, that's awesome, because I love to see the trend of you just enjoying yourself eating cereal like right now, and just really showcasing what you love, not only through the broadcasting perspective, but also through the, just enjoying sitting back and eating some cereal with people, like you said, Brian Cage, as well as Scorpio Sky, who I got to admit, that was the funniest episode, I believe, because he was going the the different route than other wrestlers, especially picking the not so popular cereal in terms of interviews before. So,
and that was a wild one too, because he hadn't had cereal in like years. I forget how long exactly it had been, but something like 8 years or something. He hadn't had a bowl of cereal. So we actually made it a process of like, oh, we're gonna go to the grocery store. So we went to the grocery store, and it was like, filming down the aisle. It was really fun. And again, it was just like seeing that other side of people, because we see them in the ring and we see what they're like, and we see them in promos. But like, what are they like when they're just enjoying a bowl of cereal?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll be honest, Honey Nut Cheerios is a heavy favorite of mine. That's just personally me. But that's cool. I mean, I love, like I said, the wrestlers and the interviewees getting out of their comfort zones and just enjoying a bowl of cereal. So that's what I absolutely love from it. So speaking about, you did mention a name that has been popular in the NXT world as of right now with the Cruiserweight tournament, which is Jake Atlas. And someone that is a part of the Santino's brothers family. You graduated from the advocate class for Santino's brothers. Can you talk about the connections that you made through that humble beginnings that you had?
Honestly, I don't think in a million years this is ever anything I would have told you I'd end up doing. It's just kind of all the pieces falling into place at the right time. It worked out that I found Santino Brothers because I I took a friend for his birthday to do a 1-day tryout. I was like, let's like get in the ring. Like this will be fun. And then it didn't strike me until the very end when we started talking about like promos and character development that I was like, oh, wait, this feels right. This feels right. And then again, just like this planets and stars all aligned, and Santino Brothers ended up offering this managers, advocates, broadcasting, production class. So, I mean, Kevin Cassidy was incredible. You know, I learned so much through that class, and just all the different people I met through Santino Brothers. It really, truly felt like a family, and everyone kind of rooting for each other, and this camaraderie amongst everyone. And I feel that the school itself and how I was kind of introduced to the world of professional wrestling was incredibly special. But then every person I met at every promotion that I've worked at has taught me something along the line. So it's just those connections have meant everything. And if like, who's to say if one thing had been out of place, like if things wouldn't have just gone totally haywire, or at least totally different. And I think that can be said with anything, but really I truly am very grateful for the experience I had as I got started in this world, this wacky, wild world.
Yeah, and then as soon as you went over to, after you were done with Santino's Brothers, you did go on to become a commentator, ring announcer, and of course, backstage talent over at NXT. I do want to talk about your commentator perspective, which you'd work commentating for Rogue Tournament Wrestling, and I thought it was absolutely cool the way that you displayed your professionalism and the way that you displayed your voice during that time. So can you talk about your, not only your experience, but also just the feel of being behind that commentator's table?
There's nothing like it. It's funny because the way that it all started, and I have, you know, Joey Ryan to thank at Bar Wrestling, was that was one of my first opportunities. Like we had kind of dabbled in the class with the idea of commentary, and it was always something I found kind of intimidating. But at the end of the day, I like to talk, you know? So I think it was one of those things where I kind of discovered my voice as I went, if that makes sense, where it was, man, just all, it's crazy because it's like there's so much that's kind of played into how I've developed, or, you know, everything. So I think getting the initial opportunity with Bar Wrestling and being able to, you know, to work with Christian Cole and John Quasto and Quasto and I got to do 2 shows together, and I learned so much from working alongside him. Loud and Noxious, again, Kevin Cassidy, like it was so great to have these different personalities to work off of. And then another huge moment, just for what I've been able to learn, what I've been able to pick up was, I got it in my head. I was like, Evolve is doing a seminar, and they were doing a seminar in Chicago, and I was still living in LA. And I'm like, man, let's do it. Let's go. So I flew out to Chicago. I was there, I think, for maybe just over 24 hours. And I got the opportunity to kind of sit under the learning tree of Lenny Leonard for WWN and be kind of at his side and be able to observe what he was doing, getting some tips from him. At that time, you know, Gabe Sapolsky put it all together, and Tommaso Ciampa did the actual seminar portion of it. So even being able to pick his brain about stuff that was going on in NXT at the time. This was, I think, in maybe August of 2019. I can't even remember, but I know I could look it up. But I think that was such a really crazy experience for me, because I don't think I really had an idea of what I was capable of or what I could do or should do. And I had signed up for that seminar as a manager, because I had a manager character that I had done. I was like, oh, I'll just bring this manager character back. That'll be fine. And then when it came down to it, I was like, I want to commentate. Like, I want to talk. I don't want to, you know. So I think I ended up talking to Ciampa. I was like, listen, you said that we should do stuff that we feel 100% confident about. I don't feel 100% confident about being a manager. I'm 100% confident as a commentator. He's like, okay. And he's like, who can we talk to about this? And they actually, as part of that seminar and part of that experience, instead of like tryout matches where I would be a manager, I actually recorded commentary, and I just did solo commentary and got a lot of great notes and a lot of great feedback. And it was kind of a wild experience because it's nothing that I ever would have expected from myself, to kind of like pipe up and be like, hey, you know what? Like, I usually don't want to make waves or anything like that. But I think it was something where I felt strongly about it, to the point that I was like, you know what? This is an opportunity. Let me showcase exactly who I am and who I want to showcase. So that was huge.
Yeah, no worries. That's awesome, especially for the fact that you wanted to display something that you love and something that you weren't afraid to try out. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are like, man, I really want to do this or that. I want to become a wrestler. I want to become a commentator, but they really don't want to go above and beyond for it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. So I find it awesome that you were actually capable and able to just say, you know what? I'm going to be confident enough today just to go out there and try it. So I think that's absolutely awesome.
So many moments in my life, really great moments, have kind of come from me just saying, screw it, let's go. You know? So it's like, within reason, I think that there's a decent amount of kind of surrender that has to happen just to see what's going to happen next, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely. And like I mentioned before, just the accolades that you already have on your belt now and heading into the future is already absolutely amazing. I mean, not only commentator, but ring announcer, correspondent for Powerbomb TV. I mean, there's so much, and interviewer. I mean, like, you know, the one thing that I really blows my mind is when I was looking at your showcase over on Instagram, your little showcase package that you put over. By the way, if you don't follow her already, you should, at A Marino on Instagram. I'm sorry, I have to put that plug.
Appreciate it.
But one of the things that I was really intrigued of was how much professionalism you have as an interviewer, because once again, you did work for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood as an interviewer. So how much from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood did that experience help you get all the way into interviewing for NXT?
Oh, 100%. I think Championship Wrestling from Hollywood played a huge role. So much of what I learned in just presentation and television, just being able to pick Dave Marquez's brain at a TV taping about like, hey, like, how does TV work? You know, like very, very broad strokes, and just kind of being, again, just being able to sit under the learning tree of a lot of different people. Dave Marquez, so many of the people over there that were able to just provide insight from, you know, at the time, Yuma was the booker over there, and he had given me a lot of great feedback. Nick Bonanno and Ty Matthews, to, you know, very creative masterminds of just kind of how it even, like, the idea of, hey, this is the message we want. This is what we kind of want to get to. And being able to just kind of like toss ideas back and forth of like, well, does this sound right? How does this sound? What if I change this? And just being in an environment where it always felt so inspiring and so encouraging. Again, I've been very, very, very fortunate in a lot of my interactions as I've gone professionally. And independent wrestling TV, which used to be Powerbomb TV, independent wrestling TV, I think also gave me an idea for just overall screen presence, if that makes sense. Like, okay, how I want to show myself, how I want to present myself, and that level of professionalism, but never not feeling like I'm me.
Right.
Trying to find that blend where it doesn't feel like a you know, I've switched off, you know, the personality is still there, but how can I still do the job that's expected of me as me? So.
Yeah, like I said, that's absolutely awesome. I want to point out a highlight in there as well. Your interview with Charlotte Flair from a recent episode of NXT, which I want to say was back in February, if I'm not mistaken. And she had just attacked Bianca Belair, and you did the interview. And the best thing was she gave the shortest answer, I think, in NXT history during a post-match interview, which is like, just because I want to. And then she walks off, boom. Andy Boy, what was your thought process during that? Like, were you expecting that, or was that just on the spot?
Everything was on the spot, and she is such an incredible talent. She did elaborate from there. The short answer was kind of the, oh damn, but no, she did elaborate from there. And honestly, I love how she, and this was literally right after the match. Grab, go, let's, just the level of composure, and she's a champion, like that's incredible talent, not just in the ring, but outside. And I think how effortlessly and eloquently she expressed herself is just a testament to the caliber of performer that she is. It was definitely one of those moments where it feels different. It feels like, oh yeah, this is it's an aura, and it's wild. It's wild to be in that presence. But yeah, so much talent. Absolutely incredible.
Absolutely, man. I'm gonna hit you with a burner question, just straight out of the hat, as they say. So, of course, we were talking about cereal so much earlier in the conversation. Of course, I have a least favorite cereal, which is, I'm going to probably get hate for this. It's Raisin Bran cereal. I've tried it before. It is not my cup of tea, as they say. But, you love a lot of cereal. We've seen you go through a lot of different styles of cereal, whether it's through Halloween type cereal or Lucky Charms, the list goes on. So what would you say is your least favorite cereal out of all the cereal you have tasted?
Before I even go into that, I want to say you are totally valid in your worst cereal opinion, because raisins are garbage. Just take them out of the cereal, throw them in the trash. Just kidding. Grape nuts. I think grape nuts are complete trash. They are like chewing on concrete. Yeah, grape nuts, hands down. The only other cereal that I actually tried in an episode, I can't remember which number episode it is, but it's on my YouTube, was the Hostess Donuts, the powdered donut cereal.
Yes.
I couldn't get through the bowl. They were awful. They were terrible, but still not as bad as grape nuts. Is just an overall terrible experience.
Totally understand.
Grape nuts.
Totally understandable. So my final question for you this evening is, as mentioned before, I think we talked before about this. I'm an aspiring ring announcer, commentator, sports broadcaster, whatever you want to label it. I'm not trying to plug myself, but
Let's get it.
Yeah. So what advice would you have to those aspiring commentators, ring announcers, or whatever, to pursue that career, pursue that passion for what they want to do, especially during a time of uncertainty and kind of a blank in time for everyone right now?
I say use this time as much as you can to just learn as much as you can, watch as much footage as you can, get examples of what you like and what you don't like. You're going to find a lot of things that influence you, whether it's the way someone's voice sounds or the way that they say certain things for broadcasting, but don't try and have someone else's voice come out of your mouth. It's always going to be your voice. Your voice is also very important. I was a classically trained vocalist, and I think that the voice is an instrument. The voice is your equipment. It's how you do your job. So taking care of that, even vocal exercises. I've had people reach out to me about, I want to do ring announcing. Ring announcing is incredibly demanding. And Alicia Taylor was such an incredible mentor and walked me through a lot of just the idea of it has to be you. It has to be your voice. Don't try to sound like anybody else. And with that came a lot of training my instrument again. It was something I kind of let fall by the wayside because I wasn't actively singing anymore. So aside from like karaoke. But no, this was something where it was still incredibly important to care for my voice. And I would have shows where I did commentary for 3 hours straight and was like, and if I had taken care of my voice a little bit better, maybe I wouldn't have felt that much discomfort at the end of the show. So definitely, I think caring for your voice and caring for your mind are going to be of tantamount importance during this time. And then, you know, when everything is so kind of hazy and crazy right now, I'd say just, it's the old adage, always bring your gear. You know, we might not have, you know, tights and entrance gear to bring to the table, but we can bring our talent, we can bring our knowledge as broadcasters, as voices of this entertainment world. So I think just always be ready, and just if you feel good, say yes, dive in and see what happens.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Alyssa. Is there any final message, any shout outs, any plugs you want to do before we end this interview?
Oh my gosh, just, you know, follow me online and get serial with me. And these are wild times. So one of my favorite things, do your best to be your best. Just do what you can, and it's okay. We're all going to be all right. So keep the faith and look forward to positive, good things and better days.
Awesome. Well, as a believer of positivity and a fellow cereal lover, which I do have my cereal right here, and she does as well. Thank you so much, Alyssa, and we will see you guys in the next video. So thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
And